Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Tech Podcast series. This is Lakshit Pant from Azure Developer Community, and we are back here again with another episode of the Tech Podcast series where we delve into evolving world of tech. We seek advices, we seek the experience from all the industry leaders, all the entrepreneurs, executives who are driving the startup ecosystem and the all the Indian tech ecosystem. For today's podcast, we have with us Manas Pal. He's the co-founder of PedalStart, and through this podcast, we will dive into the vision of being an entrepreneur and how he has started the PedalStart and what looks like building a community model where so it's more of an investing and accelerator purpose. So if you are looking for some kind of accelerator, this podcast is a must for you. So let's start with a quick introduction of Manas. So Manas, if you could quickly introduce yourself.
Thanks, first of all, for inviting me in this. I would love to answer questions and queries of you guys, and hopefully, somewhere it will help to some founders and
Absolutely.
viewers. Yeah, so back to my quick intro. So, myself, Manaspal, I am in the startup ecosystem since 2016. Started my journey accidentally, although in startups. So, I was earlier doing civil engineering. So I was a guy like with full clear thought process कि brick and mortar ही काम करेगा, nothing else. But then I got a quick introduction of Shuttle. Shuttle was started by ex Dupont team, um, uh, and then like I was very curious to understand like how these guys are working, and how they're selling their rides in losses, and why they're even giving some goodies to their early customers, and etc. That industry was very new for me, so I was not aware like how this actually work, what is customer acquisition, how it works, how it takes, what etc. What I understood, like the intent was really, really amazing, and the kind of energy was really, really different from what I have seen. So I come from a typical family business background. So I belong from area which is known for the traditional businesses, which is somewhere heart of Delhi is Chandni Chowk. So I always seen like business as a profitable thing, right? Where we invest 100 rupees and expect 120 out of it, right? Never
Right.
seen a where we are investing 100 rupees and probably expecting only 10, 20 rupees out of it, right?
Right.
Over some projection, etc. So that stuff gives me a lot of kick to see what exactly the startup ecosystem is. And then I move to startups only to take a trial ki try करके देखते हैं. And then I joined Fella, spent like close to 2.5 years there. Again joined a company which was started like right from the roots, like basement, and we raised angel round of 45 lakhs, and then we raised $2 million. um, we were unable to raise further rounds, and we got acquired. So that journey was really amazing for me also, because seen a lot of ups and downs, seeing journey where we raised and we got like really sort of heights. We hired like close to more than 120 people, expanded in 5 cities, and then a time also where we sustained for close to 1 year, and then we see an option to acquisition. Then I moved to Visa. Spent close to 3.5 years with Visa. So I know Visa team from Shuttle. So Shuttle team only started Visa. The core team of Shuttle started Visa, and that's how I joined Visa again, from roots level again, from very early days, and seen journey of 0 to 1 and 1 to, and they're like always in a role to solve multiple problems, sometimes in account, sometimes in ops, sometimes in product,
Right.
sometimes CE, and multiple other verticals also. So after that, started PedalStart around 3 years back, and yeah, so I think PedalStart journey is quite clear. Would love to give a quick brief. So we're building a startup founders community platform out of India itself, which help us out to get an initial, you can say, pipeline for our accelerator, which we run. So our PedalStart main business is accelerator, but we see a gap in India even in abroad also, majority of the accelerators pick startups based on certain um, typical selection process, which is there from probably inception, right, of this industry. So people used to judge founders based on their pitch deck, their pitches, and etc. But as we all aware, like execution is the key, right? So idea is not the key. But how many of them are actually seeing the execution and then taking the call is a question mark. So and this question was really stuck in our brain, and then we thought like whatever it takes, let's build a process which will enable us to see the founders execution, and then we will pick founders in our accelerator. So we started with the community, and we're running the community of startup founders, which is a selection based community. It's a closed community, only invited and wishlist founders can join the community. You can get an access of only 3 months, so it's not even a lifelong community kind of stuff. In the 3 months, they have to showcase us something which will give us, you can say, a strong conviction to give them access of our accelerator. And yeah, when we are accelerating, we also invest. So we also invest in first stake as a first stake, basically in the startup, and help them in their journey till Series A. So this is a where we start.
So, what do you think? What kind of mindset with all these in, because when you drive an accelerator program, you get to know multiple all these young age startups who are aspiring to be big, right? They are trying to solve a problem, they are creating multiple problems. But what do you think? What mindset they drive, right? What's that mindset they come from after an accelerator? That how they accelerator could help them, right? Is there it's so is that from a monetary benefits, or maybe from a funding perspective, from a mentorship perspective? What do you think? Because you have worked with so many startups, so I just wanted to know what's really goes behind the startup ecosystem.
Right. So when founders typically look for such options, right, the major concerning area for all those founders is fundraising, right? And they need support in fundraising, a very common pain point, right? But when you see the support area of an accelerator, even it's the same itself, right? So even in PedalStart, we help founders in three areas. First is giving them the right access of people at the right time. Okay, so we believe network play a very important role if the founder know how to materialize that network, right? So probably we have more than 5,000 plus connections in on our LinkedIn pages or accounts, right? But the question mark is again how many we are able to materialize, right? How many we know or connected, right? At least once on a chat. Um, so we saw this gap. The knowledge gap is there, right? A lot of like really strong founders, really passionate, right? Solving really interesting problem statement, right? But the issue is with the knowledge, right? So probably they are reaching Tiger Global Latin ideation stage that we are seeking out for funding and we need funds, right? So the intent is clear, right? They just need support. They just need some funds, right? In the nation stage, but they're probably picking the wrong guy, at the wrong stage, right? These are some of the common mistakes and can stretch up to mistakes which also sometimes give them a very bad hit. So something like some people invested 10, 15 lakh rupees on building some technology, right? Which they even not clear like whether the user need the technology or not, right? But they ended up by probably hiring some people or giving some money to some random agency, right? And then saying like because of our basic lack of knowledge, right, in technology, someone fooled us, right? Or someone not guided, like, this will not work out. Even they know, right? But this will not work out. But because their business is to build technology, so whatever the customers are saying, they probably they're building. This is the same kind of a issue you can see not only where the founders are losing their money, but also losing their, you can say, inclination and trust towards the entrepreneurship, right?
Okay.
Because as I'm taking a such hit, right? Probably I'm not sure like whether I'm ready to take another hit or not, right? Or I'm a stage whether I can even pursue with the same idea for a long run or not, right? So there's a lot of gaps which are there, right? the intent is clear, right? The founder's intent is very clear, like they want to solve some problem. But a very common thing, right? Majority of the founders are investing their almost 70 to 80% of the time in operations versus working on the problem statement they want to solve, right? When you
Okay.
so they ending and their day, right? They ending up like involving themselves in the team building part, in the team hiring part, in some of the customer queries part, in some of the accounting part, or majority of the time initially, especially in the early stage, chasing the funding, chasing like investors, right? But their idea, the main idea is to solve a particular problem statement. So the main question is how much time they are actually devoting from a day on that particular problem statement. But when we see, it's not because of the founder's knowledge gap and etc. It's more likely because of the kind of ecosystem we run. So when you see in India, startups are doing a lot of things, right? Startups are coming up with different technology, automating a lot of stuff, right? Now AIML is also taking a lot of good space, right? And helping us out to do a lot of manual things automatically. But when we see the enabler industry, right, where the people are enabling the startups, how much they are efficient today, right? It's a question mark. And how many people are taking their decision based on some data, right? Versus biasness or versus some kind of, we can say, gut, right? It's again a question mark. So we are in an industry where probably the industry is grown, but the people who are running the industries are using the typical same method which we are using since from probably inception of this industry. So this we thought like let's change this thought process. Let's also add some people who have done something in the ecosystem. So we onboarded all the mentors of our who are like ex founders, as well as some people who are like reached Series B and C stage, right, in their journey. So they know what it take, how they have done, like right, what how they're managing the current team, how they're managing the senior management team, how they're managing the investors, and etc. etc.
So,
No, sure.
moving it further, I just wanted to understand from you, Manas. So, what makes a idea, maybe what leads a idea to maybe an successful startup or maybe a successful venture, right? Because every idea comes from experience, right? People experience something, some kind of problem or some kind of necessity, then they try to build the idea. So, what makes an idea successful?
Okay, so for us, what we have seen, and according to our mentor board, right, a majority of the mentor board we have with us, right, they have done something, they have achieved something in their life. So they crossed Series B stage. Some people even reached IPO stage, right, and they're running really large companies now, not as startups. What we have seen when we just do, you can say. Some sort of history check or some back stuff is a hardcore execution, right? Hardcore execution means a lot of time people confuse that startup is a shortcut key, right, to achieve a lot of success in probably like probably it will take time, but a lot of immense money, right, they can gain. But this only happen when you are building a really great company, a business, and it takes a lot. So it's not a stuff which you can do within your limits, right? So something like the Infosys founder mentioned, right? And I somewhere resonate with the point because it takes a lot of sacrifices. I can say the right word is sacrifices from a founder to build a great company, right? Probably you can raise a number of amount of money, right, and you can somewhere ease your life, ease your day-to-day operations by hiring some good people in the company. But again, as a founder, how much you are moving is important, not on the day zero, but also on the day 100, right, to reach a significant milestone. Back to again your question, if we can see the success of see the success histories, right, and what these guys are like, what common these guys have is a lot of sacrifices, right, and probably a lot of clear cut part, like we want to build this, right? um, Very very down towards, like, open to learn, right? Very very open to learn. So no matter whether they are funded, they are not funded, or they raised 100 million, everyone is very downgraded and open to learn, open to listen to others, and etc., which is very important. Because sometimes founders stop thinking and just go biasly with the idea. Uh, you need to really convince yourself to go along with your idea for next 10 years. It's a journey of 10 years at least, right? So we always communicate, or like whenever we discuss with our portfolio founders, we always like had a discussion like, "Hey, भाई 10 साल लगेंगे at least, so ये मत सोचना कि 4-5 साल में we'll able to build something good and then we can take rest and etc." It's a long journey. If you're able to build earlier, that's great. It's our you can say when. But let's go with the normal cases, and normal case scenarios always say like it takes time. Um, uh, the second most important part, which I see, is the team. Team and the people you onboard on the cap table really impact your upcoming growth, right? I am not saying the people who are really big in the industry, if they are on the cap table, then your success will be super easy, right? I am saying effort will go almost same if some big name is on the cap table or if some medium name is on the cap table, right? But probably with some good name on the cap table, you guys can do a lot of things, right? By reaching that guy out and taking a lot of support from that guy, right? In your startup, right? But again, all you have to do on your own. So even those guys will not sit in your office and try to help you out, right? So you have to reach them out. You have to probably follow up with them, right? And you have to ask what you want from them. A clear ask, a clear cut ask. A lot of time, people are not even clear what they want from them, right? They are just like, like we need help. But when you ask like what kind of a help you need, right? And they are clueless. Like they just want this. They will say like, I need help in tech. Okay, what in tech? What need you need? Like what kind of help you are seeking out from us in tech, right? Is it sourcing people? Is it something you're looking out for freelancers, or is it something like you need some guidance on with the existing team? What exactly you needed? Uh, so yeah, I think the clarity is important. The open to learn is important. The hard work is on the top, right? And the team is important because probably without, I'm not talking about the team in terms of headcount team. I'm talking about the core team or the co-founders alignment, right? So if probably only four guys are there, right? Um, that's fine. But those four guys need to be super crazy first, right? Super open to learn and super like hardworking guys.
Yeah, so when we talk about the pedal start, because you already saw that you work with a couple of really good mentors, right, who are there to support all these startups, right? I just wanted to understand, how do you ensure that your mentors and advisors, how do the connection happens, right, with the relevant startup or the actionable guidance to the incubated startup? So if A, B, C, or multiple startups are there, how you pick these mentors? Is it something based on the availability, or is it something that startups are demanding, or how this process works? Or you are helping, you are asking some person, like, if you can help them or something like that. What exactly how this process works?
Cool. So in the community part, we connect founders with these mentors in a format of one to many. Okay, because one to one will not be feasible, right? So we connect
Right.
in a form of one to many, but in a small groups. So only 20-30 founders will be there in one group. The session will go for 1 to 2 hours, right? And the session is not on topic, so it's open session. So we float the profile of the particular mentor. You guys need to do your own research, what they have done in their life, and majority of our portfolio like mentors are like already very known guys, right? So they just need to check their LinkedIn and do some Google, right, and figure out like which question I as a founder want to ask from that particular mentor, right? And I can clearly ask that question in
Right.
that session. So it's an open session, so I can clear my doubt, and then I can wait for the other people to clear the doubts. There is a part in the community. In the acceleration part, we want, so we pick only 2 to 3% founders from the community to the acceleration. So here we filter down like 98% of the founders. But we wait for all the founders. They have access of our team of PedalStart. Whenever they reach that particular stage, they can share their updates on a monthly basis, and they can be a part of our accelerator for sure. Probably not in 3 months, but in 6 months or 9 months later on. Uh, in the acceleration space, we connect mentors and founders one to one. But as I mentioned, founder need to be clear like what they want to ask, right? What is the ask, right? From the particular mentor. So let's suppose if someone is building some community platform only, right? And need a lot of support in marketing area, right? But what is a lot of support? If we can get us some sort of a detailing, right? I need a lot of support or some understanding in online marketing, or I have a strategy to go offline, so I need to probably discuss or do brainstorm a little bit on whether this is the right time to go offline or not, right? I'm planning a lot of influencer marketing, so I need to even understand whether this budget will be good fit for the influencer marketing, or should we drop this plan as of now because of the budgeting issue and etc. Or probably we can explore some other experiments kind of a stuff, right? So these pointers we first provide to the mentor along with the description of the startup, like their pitch deck, their detailing, and their journey within the pedal start, right? So how we pick them, right? What metrics they were chasing, अभी वो किस स्टेज पे हैं, और अभी उनको क्या प्रॉब्लम फेस हो रही है, because of which we want to connect with you, right? So we make sure that 1 hour call will make sense a lot to the founders as well as to the mentor's life also, right? All our mentors are engaged in two parts. They typically invest in startups where they find like some interesting deals are there, right? When we are done and when we are opening their investment rounds, also they become advisors, right, in our startups. So we split whatever advisory equity we charge with them. So it's important, and it's a good opportunity for founders to, you can say, gear up a lot of, you can say, pre-builded, you can say, book of their startup in front of some of the well-known mentors. But again, it's on then interaction, and they can connect with n number of mentors based on the problem statement what we have, right? So we sometimes mentors even connect with other mentors based on the other mentors expertise, and they do the cross connections also.
So, Manas, I just wanted to, when we see all these generative AI and AI impact that is coming in our industrial ecosystem, what do you think? How do you envision the AI playing a role in the future of startup? And I see even the Paddle Start itself has incubated multiple startups, right? There are multiple names that we can see inside the pedal start around AI. And again, there is a lot more buzz going in and around this year, especially 2023 has been led by AI, right? Especially by generative AI. What do you think? How this will help the because of the volume of startup that are coming into the market? But I just wanted to know your views. What are your views upon this gradual increase in the number of startups that are trying to solve a problem, or maybe sometimes trying to build a startup instead of solving a problem?
Here I always see um, uh, there's two kind of two kind of a bucket, right? In first bucket, you see the people who want to solve some problem, and in the second bucket, you see some people who want to start something zero, right? So now you can categorize like both the buckets according to your, you can say, definition. But I always incline towards, and pedal start even we always incline towards the people who are trying to solve some problem, right? I'm not saying the people who are in the second bucket who are probably want to do something their own, or just for the sake of doing startup, they starting up, they're not solving some problem. So they must be solving some problem. But there's one category of people who face the challenge and they know the problem exists, right? Really passionate to solve that particular problem statement first, right? And they're doing a lot of activity even without resources, without funding, without team, without co-founder. And when you even discuss with them, right, on the particular problem statement that you're trying to solve, you you are like amazed, right? कि इतनी knowledge होती है उन लोगों को कि they know from where the problem statement is starting, originating, right? How it is impacting people, how we can even solve or try to solve. Probably they're not too sure about the solution because of the stage issue, right? But they're at least very, very clear, like how the problem is actually, you can say, impacting the lives. Maybe it is B2B, B2C, or whatever it is. The first part is what we always bullish on, even on which we always bullish on, is the people who are solving the real problem statements. It's hard to differentiate.
Okay.
I completely understand because it's hard to differentiate like who's actually solving the real problem statement or who just for the sake of doing startup they're solving and they're pitching us to some XYZ problem statement. So for that only we wait for the execution because execution play an important role here. Look, startup journey is not that easy as we see कि startup start किया, private limited company incorporate करी and angel investors और angel network के पास चले गए कि पैसा दे दो. It's not that easy, right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Right.
आज की डेट में even you have funds, it's really hard to build a good team, right?
Right.
If you have a fund, it's really hard to build a marketing channels or attract few people apart from your known one, right? So it's not that easy. आज की डेट में if you say कि आज मेरे अकाउंट में 2 करोड़ आ गया है, ठीक है, and I'm going to build this out, it's not that like easy part, right? 6 महीने तो लोगों को हायरिंग हायरिंग करने में लग जाते हैं, right? And even after that they find like कि जो हायरिंग करी वो ठीक नहीं थी, right?
Right.
उसमें से आधे बंदे यार रुके नहीं, right? And they ending up like investing a lot of money in just people resources only, which is again, which is experience. So some experience will only come with execution itself, right? So you cannot project it. Um, so it take a lot, right, to build your team, to convince the investors, to convince your customers, right? A lot of time people come and say कि team building is the toughest challenge. A lot of time we are not able to convince the other guy, or the other guy is not able to understand what we're trying to solve, or they're not able to give us the right time or the right passion. They just want to do 9 to 5 kind of a job, etc., etc. And my simple question from them was, um, like majority of the time is, if you're not able to convince a guy to join you, right? Then how you will convince investor to invest in their hard money in you? And then talking about the core investors like the angels kind of people, right? Who are earning
Right.
and then investing their money. So it's hard and it's somewhat logical, right? If I cannot convince a guy today who probably worked with me earlier, right, to take up some pay cut and join with me on my idea, right? Then how I can convince my next investor also, right? Then this idea is making sense to not only me but a lot of other people also, right? And somewhere they're even sacrificing, right? So not only me, but a lot of them can get easy, good job, right? But everyone is aligned with the idea which we're trying to solve, the problem which we're trying to solve, and the startup which we want to build. And we just need some money to accelerate our journey because people are there. So with money, this journey will achieve probably in 6 months versus 18 months or 12 months, right? So we need that acceleration only with that money. That's why we always say when we even accelerate, the money component which we add is just for us, even it's not that great support we are adding. So the great support we are adding is through the advices we give to the founders, is through the time we invest in the founders, and this we want to continue. We don't want to build a portfolio in hundreds of startups, right? We want to build a portfolio which probably build on a very large scale and can come up with a very different outcome. But yeah, this we know it will take time, a lot of time. So the problem statement, back to your question, the problem statement is important. So if the founder is not clear with the problem statement, what they want to solve, the rest of the journey is very hard, because the entire journeys come with a lot of ups and downs, and the people who are not aligned to solve that problem statement, they will probably um, go back soon because of demotivation and all, right? But the people who are aligned that कुछ भी हो जाए ये solve करना ही है, या तो solve
Right.
करना है या बंद करना है, राइट? ये बीच में हॉल्ट नहीं करना है, ये नहीं करना है, ये सॉल्व करके ही जाना है। या तो कन्विंस कर देंगे खुद के माइंड को कि यार हमने अपना ट्राई किया, बस, राइट? या फिर लाइक कन्विंस हो जाएंगे कि नहीं हमसे नहीं हो रहा, बढ़िया सॉल्व कर देंगे। तो वो क्रेजी लोग भी चाहिए होते हैं, राइट, टू सॉल्व दैट पार्ट. Sometimes it's important to understand whether the timing is right, good or not, right? Sometimes it's important to understand the place is even good or not, right? Because a lot of time the wrong timing, wrong place, wrong team, right, ended up with zero solution, zero outcome basically, right? Probably you are investing your like heart and soul, sweat, everything, right? But then again, you're not able to come up with the right kind of outcome out of it. Uh, हो सकता है, it's not that big task. Even when you see a lot of people say कि funding is a constant, or funding is the basic issue because of which we're not able to move ahead. But when you see the people who raise their pre-seed round or the angel round, almost 60-70% out of them not able to raise the next round. So अगर पैसा ही कंसर्न होता तो ये नंबर इतना बड़ा नहीं होता, सिंपल है.
Right.
तो पैसा कंसर्न नहीं है. The concern is knowledge. Because of knowledge gap, a lot of time founders who are really passionate, good founders, great founders, but because of lack of knowledge, they're not able to build some great companies.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think no matter like how the era is growing, with the help of Shark Tank, AIML, a lot of funding, a lot of unicorns, and etc. etc. This will help us out to build a lot of, you can say, tons of enthusiasts, right? Out of tons of enthusiasts, we'll definitely figure out a lot of good people who will build next Swiggy, Zomato, or Flipkart, Poyo in India, right? And we're waiting for those guys only. And like we really feel like the next innovation will come from tier 2, tier 3 city, and because of these boom in India, and especially like the kind of support India government is providing today, right? We feel like we will come up with a lot of great infra in the startup ecosystem in upcoming years, and which probably ease a lot of stuff for the startup founders.
Especially, yeah, I totally agree with all the points that you have mentioned, especially the government thing, because because we work extensively with these colleges, right? So I have seen how government is, incubating all the, even in every hackathon that we do, government is providing support. They are just like, you just build the idea. We are always had all the AICs, incubation centers, METI is there, FICI is there. So there are multiple incubation programs that government does driving, and they do not want any kind of experience, right? They just want your idea to be there, and the execution that you mentioned, right? The execution needs to be there. That's what the government wanted. We have a lot more to discuss, but due to paucity of time, we have to pause it here. But I have a final question for you, because this is the most important part of this podcast. Because for an aspiring, entrepreneur, what the best advice you will give to, to engage, or to prepare the best themselves to approach, accelerators like you, so that they can increase the chances of getting incubated by you.
Okay, a simple thing. Uh, be confident on what you're solving, right? Not overconfident, right? Sometimes people go with a lot of overconfidence. Sometimes people go with a lot of lack of confidence, right, etc. So be neutral, right? Whatever you're trying to solve, you are trying to solve for the very first time, probably, right? In majority of the cases, so probably you are even not sure like how this will work and etc. Accept that part, right? And ask them their help, right? That I know what I'm solving, and this is the pain point. Probably I don't know how this will solve, right? The exact solution or the scalable solution, and that's why I need your support also, right? Always look first for advices, right? even not only with the case of accelerators or incubators, but even for from angel investors and etc. Look for advices. I'm not saying to give them equities, right? Advisory equities. Pay only when you're finding that particular guy is actually adding a lot of values and can add a lot of values going forward also. So it's a not one time task, it's a recurring task where probably he or she can add a lot of long term values to in your life. Ask advices first so that probably you can build a good relations with them, and then go for the probably it will help you to easily cross the investment journey, because once you are comfortable with the other guy, with the other person, this will help other person also to build a lot of conviction on you first, right? Because in the initial day, there's no such good traction, there's no such good revenue or big revenue, right? Where people can do some analysis and etc. So whatever they're assuming or building their conviction, they're building on founders self, right? On you only. So it's important to pick the right people also, right? Check 10 different people and then pick the right people. Uh, Second most important part, in like which is common not only for when they're picking any accelerator and etc. A very common suggestion. Um, uh, you started this as a founder, and you need to not remember this, but you need to understand this line, that as a founder, it's your responsibility to build this out. It's not your co-founder's responsibility. It's not your angel investor responsibility or accelerator responsibility to build this out. So it is you first. A lot of time I came across multiple founders who say ki I am investing my time, but my co-founders are not investing, my team is not investing, and that's why we're not able to do this and that. I can understand that you guys will be slow if the other stakeholders are not involved too much, right? Completely understand.
Right.
But the reason of failure will not be others. The reason in the reason of failure will also be you. So as a founder, it's your responsibility first to go extra mile and build examples, not once, always, right? Because if as a founder you are not building examples, then who will build, right? Again, it's a question mark. So you have to build great examples for your co-founders, for your co-team to be motivated to work and stick on this idea, on whatever you're trying to solve.
Right.
And work like this is my last chance. So I think this impacts a lot, right? When you are in your comfort zone, sometimes subconsciously we're not able to add enough, right, into it. So look, this chance is the last chance. Probably you are at an age where you just passed out from your college or your or school, or you are at an age where you dropped your high paying job, etc. Somewhere you are sacrificing. So
Right.
people say कि जितना जल्दी start कर लोगे opportunity cost कम होगी, but I think for me it's different. So whenever you're dropping and starting something your own, there is an opportunity cost, right? Which you are indirectly bearing. So it's important to understand the value of yours also, right? Ki, it's not कि I'm full time, so it's my responsibility, but you are also a value, right? So you need to understand when to start and when to stop also, right? But go with the full speed, because rest is like nothing. So there's nothing apart from it.
I would just say, wow, means what kind of clarity you have in your mind, right? That's a very amazing mindset or thought process I would have ever listened to, right? So I really wanted to ask multiple questions, but because we have already extended a little bit time, so we have to end this podcast here. And I'm really sorry, guys. I have a couple of questions lined up, but we will be definitely coming up with the another episode of this podcast. Will definitely with Manas. So we'll try to catch up with this time. But as we wrap up this other insightful podcast series, I would like to extend my heartful, thanks to Manas for joining this podcast, because it's my extreme pleasure to host you as a an expert speaker for this podcast and listen to you, your industry insights, and how you are building our startup. and looking forward to collaboration in future.
Thanks for inviting.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.